You can feel the tension before the footage even rolls. It's grainy at first, like most leaked clips, the kind of footage that wasn't meant to go public. But then the camera adjusts. You see the cleats, the spiral, the receivers breaking routes with surgical precision. And there he is, Shedeur Sanders, standing at the 50-yard line, helmetless, eyes locked, demeanor unshaken. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. No music, no edits, just raw tape. It's not a combine or a televised showcase. It's something more intimate and somehow more explosive, because what happens over the next 15 minutes is a kind of quarterbacking that makes coaches rewatch film in slow motion, scribbling notes with wide eyes and open mouths, not just because of the throws, but because of the decisions. A corner blitz is simulated. Sanders doesn't flinch. He recognizes it mid-drop, shifts the protection, and fires off a 30-yard dart between two trailing defenders. The receiver barely has to move. It hits him in stride, like clockwork. The people on the sideline, they go silent, not because they're unimpressed, but because they're processing what they just saw. You don't expect this from a fifth-round pick. You don't expect this from someone who was passed on by more than 25 teams. And you definitely don't expect this from someone who was framed not long ago as a developmental prospect at best. So, how did we get here? It starts with Shedeur's refusal to play the part. He didn't want the hand-holding. He didn't need the soft ramp-up. When other rookies were doing light drills and soaking up knowledge on the sidelines, he was asking for more blitz packages, more disguised coverage, more pressure. He didn't want to survive the NFL. He wanted to conquer it. And that leaked workout, it was a calculated risk. Some people inside the Browns facility didn't want out there. Too raw, too early. If it went sideways, it could reinforce all the doubters. But Sanders believed otherwise. He wanted scouts, execs, analysts, the public, to see him without filters. No pre-planned media questions. No carefully controlled interviews. Just football. And now, the conversation has changed. This isn't a feel-good rookie story anymore. This is a quarterback controversy. One that's brewing not in media headlines, but inside the walls of the Browns facility. Because when your fifth-round pick is reading defenses better than the backup you signed in free agency and throwing cleaner balls than your starter, you have to make decisions. And fast. Veteran players have already chosen a side, and they're not subtle about it. Linebackers who try to confuse him in practice come away impressed by his calm. Safeties admit they've had to adjust how they disguise coverages, because Sanders doesn't bite on the usual tricks. And wide receivers, they're staying late to run extra reps with him. Not because they have to, but because they want to. There's an energy around him. Not flashy, not forced, just magnetic, the kind of presence that makes even skeptics take notice. Some in the league still cling to their narratives. They say the footage is just practice. They say game speed is different. They say swagger isn't the same as leadership. But even they can't ignore what they're seeing. That viral clip of Sanders threading a deep out between a sinking linebacker and a crashing safety, that play is now being broken down by former NFL quarterbacks on national shows. They're drawing on-screen diagrams, slow-mo looping the footwork, analyzing the read progression like it's an end-of-season highlight. Except this was filmed during a non-public session in July. And still, Shedeur shrugs it off. When asked about the footage making waves, he simply said, "It's just reps. Film don't lie." But that quote has stuck, because what he meant, what everyone understood, wasn't just about that one day. It was about his body of work. The tape from Colorado, the throws under pressure, the comeback wins, the poise after sacks. And now this film don't lie has become a rallying cry among fans, among teammates, and yes, even among decision-makers in the front office. At the core of this situation lies a difficult truth for the Browns. They didn't expect him to be this good this fast. Not because they didn't believe in him, but because no one wants to admit that the scouting process is sometimes wrong, that they could have taken him earlier, That maybe, just maybe, the best quarterback in their room isn't the one they paid for. And that creates pressure, not just on the field, but in the building. Because if you make the bold call and name him the starter, you risk everything if he falters. You risk undermining your veterans. You risk criticism for rushing him. You risk turning a fairy tale preseason into a disaster if week one goes sideways. But if you don't make that call, you risk something even worse, letting lightning slip through your fingers out of fear. The city of Cleveland, for its part, has already made up its mind. Local sports talk is flooded with fans calling in to plead for Shedeur to start. "I've been watching this team for 20 years," one caller said, "and I know what a franchise QB looks like. He's it." Twitter threads are filled with breakdowns of his footwork, his timing, his release angles. Kids are showing up to open practice in home-printed Sanders jerseys. It's no longer a debate. It's a movement. And Shedeur? He stays in the background, not because he's avoiding the spotlight, but because he knows it's going to find him anyway. This is a young man who grew up around greatness, not just because of his father's Hall of Fame status, but because of what he learned from it, the importance of staying hungry, staying focused, blocking out the noise until it's time to answer with action. And he's answering now with every practice, every rep, every meeting where he speaks up to correct a protection call, every time a coach shows him a mistake on film and he responds with, "Already fixed it in my notes." That's not hype. That's preparation. And that's what makes this different. Because it's one thing to go viral off a flashy play. It's another to sustain momentum with substance. And right now, Shedeur Sanders isn't just generating excitement. He's proving he belongs. Over and over again. The Browns haven't made an official announcement yet. And maybe they won't, not until final roster cuts. But those who've been watching closely, they already know what's coming. That leaked footage didn't just break the internet. It broke the illusion that rookies need to wait. It broke the assumption that swagger equals ego. It broke the tired narrative that pedigree trumps production. And in doing so, it might have just rewritten the start of Cleveland's football future. Because the next time Sanders walks onto that field, be it preseason, week one, or somewhere in between, he won't be stepping into the spotlight. He is the spotlight. And if the Browns are smart, they'll stop trying to manage the moment and start building around it. Let's be clear. This isn't just a feel-good rookie moment anymore. This is a tectonic shift, one that's starting to rattle the halls of Berea from the inside out. Because when a fifth-round pick walks into training camp and quietly starts breaking every internal benchmark the team set for him, people start asking hard questions. Questions like, why do we think this kid would need a redshirt year? Why did we spend millions on veterans just to watch a rookie run circles around them in the 2-minute drill? Why are the receivers asking to rep with him after practice instead of the guy we're paying 8 figures? And most importantly, what do we do now? Let's talk about that. Because while most of the headlines are still catching up to the buzz, inside the facility, the decision makers are already sweating. See, this is the part where narratives crash into business. And that's where things get messy. Because no matter how many darts Shedeur throws in tight coverage, no matter how many protections he adjusts to the line, there's one thing he hasn't overcome yet, and that's the salary cap. The Browns have money tied up in quarterbacks. Real money. Veteran contract money. And this isn't just a depth chart. It's a financial hierarchy. And when the fifth rounder starts outperforming the millionaires, it sends a balance sheet into chaos. You bench a highly paid quarterback for a rookie, and you don't just start a controversy. You start a PR war. You start taking calls from agents, from ownership, from marketing. Suddenly, football decisions aren't just football decisions anymore. They're economics. But here's the problem. The tape doesn't lie. The coaches know it. The locker room knows it. Hell, even the veterans know it. There's a growing unease in the QB room, and it's not because Shedeur is arrogant. It's because he's surgical, mechanical, precise. It's because every day that passes without naming a starter makes the silence louder. And Shedeur, he's treating it like a chess match. He's not pushing the media for more attention. He's not posting cryptic quotes or requesting first-team reps. He's just winning, quietly, consistently, unapologetically. But let's go wider, Because this story isn't just about one camp or one quarterback room. The NFL is watching. Front offices across the league are starting to reevaluate their own scouting misses. Teams that passed on him are scrambling to justify it to their fans. He didn't interview well, some say. There were maturity concerns. Others whisper about system quarterbacks and inflated stats at Colorado. But behind closed doors, the tone is different. Personnel directors are watching every throw, every clip, every mic'd-up moment. And they're all thinking the same thing. How the hell did we let this kid slide to day 3? And now, there's a second layer of pressure building. Because if the Browns don't start him and he keeps performing like this, there's real risk he gets buried behind politics. His rookie contract burns valuable development time. Maybe the franchise tries to trade him next year and cash him before the hype cools. But if they do start him, now they've got to reshape their entire game plan. You don't run the same offense with Shedeur Sanders as you do with a journeyman vet. His reads are faster. His tempo is sharper. He's already building rhythm with tight ends and slot receivers and adjusting mid-route when defenders bite. He's not just learning the playbook, he's rewriting it. And that puts the offensive coordinator in a tricky spot. Do you design a scheme for the rookie and risk alienating the veterans? Or stick with what worked in theory last year? Even if the guy executing it isn't the best QB on the field, this isn't just development anymore. It's ideology. Old school versus new school. Experience versus instinct. And the media, they're licking their lips. You can already see the headlines forming. Is Sanders too smart for the system? Is Cleveland stuck in its own way again? Because while the national media still fawns over quarterback storylines in bigger markets, there's an underground swell forming around Shedeur. A growing online base is tracking every camp rep like it's gospel. Twitter threads, YouTube breakdowns, Reddit forums. Everyone's dissecting the Brown silence. Because silence at this point doesn't feel like strategy. It feels like indecision. And indecision can get you beat. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. There's quiet talk around the league that Shedeur isn't just a system QB, he might be scheme-proof. That is, no matter what system you drop him into, he's going to thrive because his processing speed and adaptability are that elite. We're talking Joe Burrow levels of calm under pressure, a blend of anticipation and reaction speed that you can't teach. And the Browns? They're sitting on this Ferrari, but they're afraid to take it out of the garage because they still owe 3 years on a Buick they overpaid for. Meanwhile, other teams with aging quarterbacks, broken systems, or offensive rebuilds, are just waiting, watching, hoping he gets stashed, hoping he doesn't start, hoping they get another chance to trade for him in 6 months when Cleveland can't keep the locker room from boiling over. Because if they do sit him, make no mistake, players will notice. Teammates don't care about cap hits and contract clauses. They care about who gives them the best chance to win on Sunday. And if Shedeur is that guy, and he still doesn't get the nod, that creates fractures. Quiet ones at first, missed high fives, short answers and pressers. But they grow. Fast. It's not about ego. It's about momentum. You build chemistry through belief. And right now, half the locker room believes in Sanders. So what happens if the front office doesn't? Let's also not forget the nil generation. Shedeur didn't come up in the old school, wait-your-turn system. He's been building a brand since high school, navigating pressure, expectations, sponsorships, hate, hype, and interviews before he even got his NFL locker assignment. He's built for the spotlight. So you think he's going to wilt under week 1 lights? Doubt it. And that's the final twist. This isn't a quarterback who needs protection from the moment. This is a quarterback who thrives because of it. He doesn't shy away from expectations. He builds off of them, uses them, turns them into fuel. So the real question becomes, how long can the Browns afford to keep him holstered? Because every day they wait, the storm gets closer. The reporters will keep asking. The fans will keep cheering. And Shedeur? He'll keep winning. Until the Browns have no choice left. And by then, it won't be a decision. It'll be a formality. Let's talk about what really happens when a rookie hijacks the future of your franchise before the season even starts. Because the Shedeur Sanders situation isn't just a quarterback battle anymore. It's become a full-blown identity crisis for the Cleveland Browns. And not the kind you can hide behind a few vague press conference quotes or polite. We like our depth cliches. This is different. This is existential. Who are the Browns now? Are they to trust the process, develop your rookies slowly, let veterans guide the ship kind of team? Or are they the we're done waiting, let the best man play kind of team? Because right now, Shedeur is making them choose. And let's be real, that decision doesn't just affect this season. It defines the entire era. You can feel it in every film room, every rep, every whisper in the hallway between coaches who don't quite see eye to eye. It's not just about who wins the job. It's about what kind of team the Browns want to be and who gets to decide. And you better believe Shedeur knows exactly what he's doing. See, there's a subtle mind game that happens during these competitions. It's not loud. It's not overt, but it's real. And Shedeur, he's playing it like a poker shark. He doesn't bark in the huddle. He owns it. Doesn't force throws to impress coaches. He throws the right ones to move the chains. Doesn't argue in film sessions. Just silently rewinds a clip and points out his own mistake before the coach can speak. That kind of maturity, it's unnerving for older QBs because it forces them to confront something terrifying. He's younger, cleaner, and he's catching up fast. Veterans thrive on separation. They're not threatened by rookies who are raw or confused or tentative. That's easy to dismiss. Easy to laugh off in the locker room. But Shedeur, he doesn't give them that space. He's prepared. He's serious. And worst of all, he's patient. Not with the coaches, with himself. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't trying to win the job today. Or tomorrow. He's already decided he'll win it eventually. All he has to do is wait for everyone else to catch up. And that kind of confidence, that scares people. Especially in a building like Cleveland's, a team with a very complicated relationship with quarterbacks. Let's not sugarcoat it. This franchise has been through the QB ringer. From broken picks to drama-laced divas, Cleveland has seen it all. And just when they thought they locked down stability, a shiny $230 million contract dropped them into the most expensive soap opera in NFL history. So now, they're gun-shy. They're not just choosing a quarterback. They're choosing a story. Because whoever starts week one becomes a narrative. Every press conference, every loss, every mic'd up moment will orbit around that guy. And Shedeur, he comes with gravity. He's Dion's son. He's nil royalty. He's already got sponsors and media savvy that most rookies spend years figuring out. That's not baggage. That's branding. And Cleveland has never really known what to do with that. Do they lean in and let him lead? Or do they slow walk him into the background while they ride out the veterans? Either way, there's risk. Start him too soon, and if he struggles early, the headlines write themselves. Dion's kid can't hack it in the AFC North. Start him too late. And the moment he does take the field, every snap becomes a referendum. Why wasn't he playing sooner? It's a lose-lose unless Shedeur wins, which, ironically, is all he seems to be doing. But let's zoom out, because this isn't just a Cleveland problem anymore. This is quietly becoming a league-wide ripple. Teams with shaky QB situations. Teams in New England, Atlanta, Las Vegas. They're watching closely, wondering if they missed something, wondering if they could have traded up, wondering if Cleveland even wants to keep him long-term. And that's where the rumors start. You think GMs aren't already calling just in case? You think agents aren't floating hypotheticals like, if Shedeur's really that good and still sitting third string by midseason, what would it take to pry him loose? It's chess now, and Cleveland's clock is ticking. Because if they wait too long and Shedeur's value peaks from the sideline instead of the field, they'll lose leverage. And if they name him the starter and he crushes it, now you got a brand new franchise centerpiece on a rookie contract and a whole lot of expensive QB baggage to clean up. But here's what nobody's really saying out loud. Cleveland didn't plan for this. They hoped Shedeur would be good. They didn't expect him to be this good, this fast. They thought they had time to figure it out. Time to control the rollout, manage the headlines, gently groom a future star while letting the veterans take the heat. Instead, they've got a full-blown QB insurgency brewing in the facility, And nobody wants to be the one who blinks first. And then there's the fans. Oh, the fans. You cannot ignore Browns fans. They're one of the most passionate, football-savvy, emotionally scarred groups in the NFL. They've lived through 30-plus quarterbacks in 20 years. They know when something feels different. And Shedeur, he feels different. It's not just his throws. It's the way the offense moves when he's under center. The tempo, the trust, the way the sidelines lean forward. It's not hype, it's hope. And hope is dangerous in Cleveland because they've had it yanked away so many times. They've almost learned to fear it. But with Shedeur, they want to believe again. And the longer the team hesitates, the more pressure the fans will apply. Every preseason drive will be a referendum. Every rep in a joint practice will be dissected. Every incomplete pass from a veteran will be met with chants for number 5, not because they hate the other guys, but because Shedeur makes them dream again. And in Cleveland, that's priceless. So here we are, an unplanned rookie revolution, a quarterback room on edge, a coaching staff torn between patience and potential, a city holding its breath, and a young man who just keeps showing up, ball in hand, eyes downfield, ready to make the right read. He's not yelling. He's not begging. He's just doing. Every practice, every rep, every opportunity. And soon, the Browns will run out of reasons to wait, because some stories don't follow the script. They write a new one. And Shedeur Sanders? He's already holding the pen.